So today I want to talk about how to maintain yourself, how to not lose yourself when you get into a new relationship. I think this is really important to talk about because it's like, okay, we get it. We got to take care of ourselves, right? But it's so easy when you meet somebody new and you're really excited about that relationship. I get it. We've all been there. But it's really easy to kind of fall into this trap of falling too quickly, just falling like really head over heels for somebody and sacrificing a lot of yourself, your hobbies, your interests, just everything about you. I think it's pretty easy to do that. So I kind of want to start here because I think that this is really foundational. This is really important. You kind of can't even, I am choking. It's not really as simple as just following a 1, 2, 3 kind of step and then boom, like you got it, right? There's a little bit like a deeper fundamental thing that kind of underlines this, and that deeper fundamental thing is you need to know what your priority is, right? If you are not your own number one priority, this is going to be really hard. So that is kind of something that you're going to have to do a lot of inner work and like shadow work and stuff like that to make it so that you view yourself as your number one priority. You need to get to a point with yourself that you genuinely love and care for yourself enough to where you can look at anybody and say,
okay, I can love you, you're important to me, but you're not more important to me than I am to myself.
that's first thing. So obviously, like, I'm not a fucking therapist. I wish I was, but I'm kind of like not really qualified to like get into all like the nitty gritty on like how to become that person. But I do recommend therapy. I mean, or just a lot of journaling or like a lot of self-healing so that you can get to a point where you feel like,
Yeah, bitch. I'm number one, you're number two, no matter what, no matter how much I like you.
that's first things first. You can't, like, this isn't going to work unless you get to that point with yourself. At least in my experience and in my opinion, I always found that people who were not like there with themselves, they kind of, even if they didn't fall into this like this exact trap, it was just really hard for them to be as invested in themselves rather than the relationship, and quickly their relationship became the most important thing to them. They were sacrificing things that made them happy and giving up on their morals or beliefs or whatever it was for their partners, and by the time they realized it was kind of too deep into the relationship, when the roles were already established, and it was kind of like, okay, well, what do we do now? Because you can't really, I don't want to say you can't start over, but it's kind of hard to start over when you've made it so deep into the relationship. So the beginning portion, and if you're not ready to date, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with taking time to yourself and being like, I want to establish me. I want to establish what's important to me, what hobbies bring me joy, what is something that, like, what's the belief that I can't compromise on, no matter for who it is. Once you kind of get familiar with those things, then we can kind of get into the other stuff, which I think we're about ready to. So I have been thinking a lot about this, and I have kind of come up with what I think are the five stages of dating. These are
Dahlia Bell's 5 stages of dating.
we can call it that. I'll probably forget them by next week, so that's why I wrote them down. So we're gonna start with stage number 1. That's probably backwards to you. Yeah, it is. Okay, anyways.
Pretend it's not.
This is the intrigue / attraction stage. This is kind of when you're like, when you sort of just meet somebody, you're kind of like, oh, you're a little curious. You're sort of feeling them, they're sort of feeling you, but it's nothing crazy yet. That's not what today is about. I mean, obviously that stage is really important depending on how attracted to the person you really are, or like how intrigued you are. Stage 2, this is the infatuation stage. This right here, this is the most dangerous and the most serious stage, in my opinion. That's what this is all about today. But I'm gonna get into that. This is stage 3. This is the in love stage. This is when you are like now in a relationship, and it's like, oh, like I'm in love with this person, but you're also still like infatuated. This is where like the sparks are there, the fireworks are going off, you've got the butterflies in your tummy, but you actually love them because you know them.
You get what I'm saying?
Number 4, this is the content love stage. This is the stage where you love your partner, but like the fireworks aren't really there right now. Like the spark is kind of down, you know what I'm saying? But you still love them. And this stage 3 and 4, you're gonna switch back and forth between them. So I mean, obviously, like when you hit number 4, it's not over, it's not the end of the world. You're gonna go to number 3 eventually. It's just like weird cycle. Number 5, this is the ick stage. Once you hit the ick stage, just break up. There's literally nothing you can do. Irreversible. But we're not talking about all that. Number 2, the infatuation stage. This is the
Devil.
Do you understand? This is the devil. Because this gets people to do some crazy things. And you want to know how I know? Because it's happened to me too. So we're going to talk all about the infatuation stage. The infatuation stage is so tricky because this is, you are insanely attracted to them. You're not a couple yet. So that person is literally everything you want them to be and more. This is that stage where, like, low key, you think you're in love with them. Like, you think that you feel love for them, but it's literally because of, like, this is the fantasy stage. It's like you've got all these fantasies, you're going on dates, he's doing everything just right, or she, like, you guys are, like, getting married and shit, like, but it's all in your head. That's this stage. And the reason why this stage is so critical is because this is the stage that it really does kind of set the tone for the rest of the relationship in terms of yourself. So this stage also is kind of when you have the ability to bend the relationship to your will. So remember what I said, how you need to kind of figure out what your priorities are, and it's gotta be you. It's gotta be you. You have to be your priority so that you don't fall into the trap of sacrificing what makes you happy for that person. But it's kind of hard in this stage because this is that stage. Like I said, it makes people do crazy things. And what I mean by crazy is like, not like, like this is that stage where you so badly want to be liked and desired by that person. This is that stage where you're kind of like, oh, I'm willing to do anything to get this person to like me. If that means like being readily available whenever they want, that person has like a belief that you just don't agree with, but you like them so much that you're willing to say, yeah, I agree. Like them being a Trump supporter. I'm just kidding, but...
No, I'm not kidding.
But like, you get what I'm saying. This is that stage where you are forgiving all red flags. You're kind of like...
Red flags where? Who?
They don't exist because this person is literally perfect, because if they say they're a Trump supporter, in your head, it's like...
Oh, you're not really a Trump supporter, right?
Like, they're just saying that. This is kind of that stage. So, number 1. I feel like I already said number 1 because that was... Yeah, number 2 then. Number 2 is recognize that time is something that you can never get back. The time you invest in something or someone, you will never get it back. If you spend 3 months giving your all to this person and it all goes down the I don't want to say it goes down the toilet because that's not true, because it's all like a learning experience. But remember that. Really, really think about what I'm saying. Time is something you can never get back. So if you are your number 1 priority, let's say you love singing, okay?
La, la, la.
I wish I could sing. I can't sing to save my life. But let's say you love singing. Let's say you have a singing lesson scheduled, right? And then person that you are infatuated with says,
Hey, want to hang out on Friday on said time that you're supposed to be singing?
are you going to say yes or no? There you go. If you say yes, you have just shown that this person is more important than this hobby or this thing that brings me joy. And that matters because that person's not always going to be more important than your hobby. So you need to actually honor yourself and honor your plans, honor your schedule. if this person is trying to make a plan on top of something that you already have planned, even if it's not a hobby, if it's like hanging out with your friends, honor those plans. It's really insulting to yourself. And let's say if it is like you're supposed to be hanging out with your friends, it's really insulting to yourself and the people involved if you just substitute your plans with either yourself or your friends for this random person that you just met. You don't know them. They have not earned that spot in your schedule yet, on top of what you already had planned. You get what I'm saying? Now, like, if you were actually free, like you really didn't have anything going on, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like when you actually had something going on and you knew that and you still chose to say,
You know what? This thing can wait. I can wait. My friends can wait.
no, they can't. Well, they're not gonna die, but like, you get what I'm saying. Your hobbies, whatever makes you better, cannot wait. You should never put the thing that you were excited to do or your passions to the side for a person you don't know. You don't know if they're gonna disappoint you. You just don't. And I'm not saying to like operate on that fear and operate waiting for somebody to disappoint you, but I am saying that you do save yourself a lot of heartache if you expect people to disappoint you. That sounds really negative, I know. And I wasn't always this way, but I kept giving everybody the benefit of the doubt and thinking that
Nobody could do me wrong.
and then I got done wrong a couple times in it.
Taught me something really quick.
So, respect yourself, respect your schedule, and respect your friends. Respect the people who have earned that place in your life for that allotted time slot.
That's thing number one.
Okay, this next thing. And this one is kind of hard. I get it. It's easier said than done, but don't overhype them. I mean, when you put somebody on a pedestal, your mind goes into this fear mode, like really quickly. Fear mode. Fear of losing that person. But when you recognize like, hey, this person is a human being just like I am. Every single unpleasant human emotion or human experience that you and I do, they do it too. And it's hard to see it that way because we're just like,
Oh, you're so hot. You're so perfect. And oh my God.
but like, trust me, they're a person just like you. And I know this sounds really stupid to say, but when you are in the infatuation stage, logic doesn't logic. So you can't see them as just a person just like you and me. You see them as something more and something above. And what happens when you see something as something more and something above? You're like,
I have to do whatever it takes to keep this person interested.
even if that means doing something that I don't want to do, even if I'm having so much fun singing.
If you want my presents, I'm gonna give you my presents.
You get what I'm saying? And that is kind of where the tumbling starts, because these beginning stages is kind of where you can get the person to see you in a light that you want them to see you in. And also remember that the rest of your relationship is not going to be like the beginning of your relationship. There's going to be a time where you're like, oh, I don't want to hang out with you all the time. I want to do my hobbies. And that might be weird to them. That might be like,
Wait a minute, like, I'm used to her, like, putting everything to the side for me.
and that is gonna cause problems. And you don't want that, because when you start off kind of more cool and distant, and I'm not saying like be distant, like don't be vulnerable, but I'm saying if you show them I have things and I have a schedule and I have priorities, you immediately, they're gonna respect you more, because they see that you respect yourself and they see that you're not like obsessed with them and you don't crave their validation the way they may crave yours. And this is gonna make them crave your validation even more, just saying, because they're gonna be like, oh my god, like she has things going on in her life, or you have a life, you have friends, you have things that make you happy. You are a multifaceted person, because dating is a little bit weird. You get what I mean? Like when we go on our first date, it's kind of weird because nobody really knows how to be themselves. People are kind of, and it makes sense. We're putting our best foot forward. We're doing what it takes to get that person to be attracted to us enough to want to go on a second date.
Assuming that we like them, of course.
But like, this is that stage where what you put forth is that's the image that's going to stick with them in their mind for the remainder of your relationship. So I'm going to tell you an embarrassing story. So when I was younger and I was like in my first relationship, if my family members are watching this, I never had a relationship in my life, but I did this thing, right, where I wanted to be all like demure, but like I didn't want to like swear, you get what I'm saying? Like I was like, I want to be like
This like delicate little cutesy
thing, so like I wouldn't swear. But anybody who knows me in real life knows that I swear a little bit too much. So I wouldn't swear, right? This was the infatuation stage. And I know this is kind of like not what the video topic is about, but I'm just using this as an example. So when we got into the relationship and when I felt more comfortable to be myself and I started to swear, that was really weird for my partner. They were like,
what are you doing? Like, you don't talk like that. Like, you don't swear. Like, why are you like swearing all of a sudden?
that's the same thing. When you start dropping your hobbies and dropping your friends for your partner, that's a habit to them that they're going to get used to, and they're going to expect that further on. So when then it doesn't happen, they're going to be like,
what's going on?
And it's not going to be in a good way because they've kind of already categorized where they think you go. And if you show them from the get-go, you're not my number one priority, I have other things that are interesting to me, they're going to be like,
oh wow, like, okay, I'm not like this crazy like hot shit thing. I have to earn my spot. I've got to earn my spot in there, and she can choose if she wants me there or not.
That's a lot of power. Take your power back. Like, that is your power. So that's like the main thing. Honor your plans, honor your friends, because those things will not fail you the way romance can. And I know that's really, really sad. Like, we don't like to acknowledge that. We don't like to admit that. But the thing is that your romantic partners, they're going to be a stranger for such a long time. Like, you have to know each other for a few years before you're not strangers anymore. Then the person can kind of earn their spot in your schedule, and you can kind of be more like,
okay, like, yeah, I had singing scheduled, but I actually like really want to see you.
I think then it like makes more sense to prioritize them. But in the beginning, they cannot be a priority. And if they're like a poo-poo caca face, they may see that and think, oh, I can kind of take advantage of this because obviously
I'm the most important thing to that person right now.
And usually it's not like that sinister, but you just never know, and you can never be too safe. And you don't want to be in a relationship and you've given up all your time with your friends, with yourself, and then like let's say you stay together for like 6 months and then things don't work out, and then you kind of look back and you're like,
wow.
All that time, like that I kept, prioritizing them over my own plans or over my plans with my friends. What now? Like, what did I have to show for it?
and that's like the worst case scenario kind of, but it's a sucky case scenario. And even if you don't do it that majorly, you still feel it. Like I sort of kind of did that because that same partner that I was talking about would keep like kind of like bullying me into hanging out with him instead of my friends. And so what happened, like after we broke up, I started to feel like, wow, I missed out on so many like funny, amazing, like cool ass like moments with my friends, all because I let this person make me feel some type of way, feel guilty for not wanting to hang out with them all the time because they were like so they were always like down my back, like, oh, like whatever, that's a story for another time. But this is something that a lot of people go through, and you need to just be like gentle with yourself, but remember that they are just a person, and you need to look at that person and be like, you know what, this person is cool,
But they're not as cool as me.
and that's facts. That's the truth. They're not as cool as you. I promise you they're not. Don't ever view somebody as out of your league, too hot for you, too smart for you, too good for you. They're not. They only are if you let them be. That person that you're talking to, that guy or that girl, They are exactly what you want them to be. If you want them to be too good for you, they will be too good for you, because you give them that power and you give them that ability to come between everything that you stand for and everything that makes you happy. Nobody is gonna love you like you do. Nobody is ever gonna have the same level of wholehearted, like pure love and genuine, I want what is best for you, the way that you will. And that's important, because
I lost my train of thought. Give me a minute.
oh yeah, so you have full control over how you view yourself and how you treat yourself. You don't have full control over over how other people treat you. We have an influence. Like if you show like, hey, like I'm like a confident, like
Baddie who's
who's not scared of anything, or who doesn't view anybody's approval more important than your own, then yeah, obviously people are going to try to step up to the plate and match that. But my thing is you could do everything right. You could do everything right and still get done wrong, is what I'm saying. So that's why I say you don't have full control over the way people treat you. You have an influence, you have an impact, but we could sit there and we could be like begging people and showing people like how I want to be treated. We could be doing everything right, and they could still be like,
No, I don't think that bitch is worth it.
they could be like,
Oh no, she's not good enough for me.
because people are gonna have like their own, like their own things, and some people just suck, and some people can see like you are an amazing person and still not step up to the plate. They'll still take it for granted. They're still not gonna care. But what you can choose is you don't have to take yourself for granted. So you're always gonna need to be like, well, I'm looking out for me because everybody else is looking out for them. I need to look out for me. I need to do what's best for me. And when you feel that way, you will never operate in that like scarcity mindset of fear, or like of what if they leave me, or what if they decide like I'm not good enough for them, or I'm not interesting enough for them. You are the prize. You are the one, you know what I'm saying? If you have hobbies, they're going to be interested in your hobbies. And if they're not,
goodbye.
they just showed you who they are. If you have a goal that you're working towards and they don't care to get to know that goal or hear you talk about it or get excited about your goal, goodbye. They're not the one for you. You just be excited about your own life so that you're not having to get invested in somebody else's goals, because that tends to happen. We're like, people are like, well, I don't really feel like I have that much interesting things to talk about, so I'm going to be very like interested and like attentive to what they're saying. People pick up on that, and people pick up like, hey, this person's not really contributing that much to the conversation, so
I must be that great. Like, I must be the shit.
no, don't ever let them think that. Like, you can let them know that you like them, and you're not saying to like put them down. But what I'm saying is you operate of, that you're the one, you're the prize, you're the one that they want. You're the one that they want to be like, hey, like I really want to see this person and I respect them so much. Like, I don't care if she doesn't want to see me until next weekend. I'm willing to wait, because they will be. If they like you enough, they will be. And guess what? If they're not willing to wait, they were never going to be. And they were never for you, and the trash took itself out. And the next thing, and the final thing, is viewing a relationship as an exchange. This is an exchange because it's not you taking and learning everything from them and becoming the person that they want you to be. It's also introducing things that you're interested in. So if you're like dating somebody, you want to view them in a way of, how is this person going to benefit my life, and how am I also going to bring value to theirs? So it's like a two-way street. You get what I'm saying? And that is also going to keep you from just dropping everything at the sound of a fucking hat, if that's even a real saying, and just wanting to hang out with them all the time. Because if you say, no, I'm busy, they're gonna be like,
Oh, well, what are you doing?
and who knows, maybe they'll want to join you on those hobbies, and that could be something that you share, maybe, potentially. And same with you. viewing that person as an addition to your life instead of something that is life-changing or something that's going to save you. Because again, we're trying to get to a point where we're good enough here to where we don't need something externally. I get it, we're social creatures. We all, I don't want to say all, but like most of us, we do want a relationship. There's nothing wrong with that. But it becomes a problem where you're like, that is the only way I'll be happy, and I'm willing to do whatever that takes to have that thing, even if it means giving me up. You are so unique and you're so special. There's literally only one of you in the world for a reason. So view relationships as a two-way street. I'm here to teach them something and they're here to teach me something, and we're going to learn from each other as we go. And I think that creates such a
Harmonious and beautiful relationship.
where you both respect each other, you both can become interested in each other, and maintain open dialogue with your friends and your family. Don't ever give up your relationships for a relationship, because maintaining that open dialogue is going to get your friends and family to see things that you might not necessarily see. If that person is being a disaster and they're being all messy, you need those people who are not in the relationship to be like,
Hey, I see this going on and I don't really like it. I don't really think it's good for you.
because again, that person isn't there to save you. If there is times where you're like,
Ooh, I don't really think I could tell my friends and family about them.
then you know that you've lost the plot and it's time to get out of that relationship real quick, because it could go south really fast. Showing that guy or that girl that you have a strong support system in terms of your own social circle as well as validation in here, you are more than likely going to weed out the losers or the assholes, and you're going to attract people who are operating on your level. They've got things going on in their life, and we shouldn't even want our partners to drop everything for us either. It's gonna get boring so fast. You want somebody that inspires you and motivates you to keep going and be the best version of yourself that you can be. So if that's what you deserve, then also be that person for that person. Just have a healthy bond. Don't constantly be around each other. Don't ruin it. Okay, I mean, I hope that this makes sense, and I hope that this really ties in with my last video about decentering men. I think that they really go hand in hand. Also, I really want to make a video potentially about why I think situationship breakups are like way more painful than like actual breakups. If that sounds like an interesting video idea, or also like how to bounce back from a breakup. But I also feel like everybody and their mamas talk about that, so I don't really know if that's, I don't know, I'll think about that one. But anyways, that's kind of all I have to say. So take care of yourself, take care of the people around you, make sure that you maintain an open relationship with your friends and family so that they know what's going on, and you're gonna save yourself a lot of heartache.
Pinky promise.
You got this.